Yep.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. First is our flag salute. Oops. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
All right, Ms. Bullenbacher.
Here.
Mr. Chandler. Just promoted him. Okay. All right, he is online. Yes. I just called your name, Mr. Chandler. Are you present?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Papatello,
Here.
Mr. Hof. Here. Ms. McCalnick
Here.
and Mr. Oliverio,
Here.
Mayor Perry,
Here.
Solicitor Corbel,
I'm here.
Engineer Keenan. Here. Director Tedesco. Here. And myself. We do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, our consent agenda. We have the council meeting minutes from March 13th, the bill list from March 27th, and all the monthly reports on the OneDrive for council. So looking for a motion to approve the March 27th, 2025 consent agenda pending bill list approval by the borough president, manager, and treasurer.
So moved.
All right, Ms. Bullenbacher,
Second.
Ms. Bukalnick, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, public comments on agenda items. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitors are assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. We'll go by our list here. We have Ms. Smith.
Good evening. I wanted to talk just about two things really quick, and it's not anything major. On K9, it's the road paving. And you guys are doing like a good job getting everything spruced up and making it look pretty. And I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is you guys keep letting them close so many roads at the same time. I drive a school bus for our district. One day I went to come down Bradford to drop off kids and it was closed. So I went up to Linwood to drop them off because they're Warren and Coulter and that was closed. If they're gonna do things like that, could we let the school know? Because and the bus companies, we're not allowed to drop off our kids willy-nilly anywhere. They have to be at a bus stop. High school is not so bad, but like elementary school, and we need to know ahead of time. We can't just, we're pulled over on the side of the road, calling work and being, I can't get there, then they have to call the school. It's really a big production, and if we could be more vocal with telling everybody what's going on, it would be so helpful. So that is K9. And then over on 10C, and this is a little bit longer. There was a post on Facebook, and no, I don't believe everything that I read on Facebook. And I don't even have Facebook, but I had 8 people send me the same thing. About Jim Price contacting the city of Pittsburgh to inquire about the potential costs of having Pittsburgh Public Services do Crafton's police, fire, EMS, and public works. I don't know if this is true or not. If it is true, why are we leasing a dump truck? I just wondered what was going on. I didn't hear anything about it. Is this true? Is this something you guys are looking into?
This is absolutely.
Yeah, let her finish.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
That's it. That's what I want to know. If this is true, number one, I don't want it. But if it is true and this is the way you're going, then why are we getting a dump truck? Okay.
And let's address the first one for the roads closures. Is that something and who would be the people, or maybe we already know this, from the bus company that
You would call Monarch Student Transportation. That's the main company for Carlington.
Okay.
But there are also First Student comes through here and Roanoke comes through here to pick up the kids that go to parochial schools.
Okay. So I guess it's a question for the staff. Is that something that we can do to notify them of the road closures
So
for the week?
it depends. There are gonna be closures that we cannot do that for because they're emergencies and they do not have to tell us
That I
prior to it
understand.
happening. And we have had that happen several times in the last weeks. Gas company did it last week. I think there were a couple other ones, but the one that I think you're addressing, the one that was on Linwood was the gas company doing their
Sidewalk
restoration?
restoration work, yes.
Yeah, so we can communicate that to them definitely, because that was a permitted one and they weren't great with their communication last year on that at the end of the year. And I think they started up again this year without telling us and we had to get them back in line. So yeah. You want to add to that at all?
Not much, just that, we did get the permit that we needed for their work and, any work like that is like in the same place, knowing ahead of time, and we can definitely reach out to school bus companies and I think let them know.
Yeah, because we're a rabbit warren of one-way streets and the buses don't fit everywhere and and they don't put the signage. They don't put it at the top of Linwood. We start coming down the hill and all of a sudden the road's closed and we're like, you can't take a big bus anywhere. We're backing up and it's not safe.
Okay. The city of Pittsburgh, thank you, Ms. Smith.
Okay.
The city of Pittsburgh, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I can address that. We have not contacted them for any services, except for 2 years ago, when we were first looking into the garbage contract. We asked them because we were made aware that our garbage contract could go up by as much as 80%. So we reached out to the city to see if it was even possible for them to bid on it. And they said no. We met with them they dug deep and realized that they just didn't have the capacity to do it. So we said, fine, that's great. That is the only thing that we have asked the city about as far as contracting goes. We haven't reached out about them, and nor do we have any intent to reach out to them about any of those services.
Yeah, so, yeah, and let me follow up as part of council. And the three entities you had talked about are the fire department, police department, and public works. There is no intent, and I'm speaking on behalf of council, and they can all speak up if they like, to ever merge with the city or be a part of the city. So, and I want to address each one. The fire department, I believe we have one of the best fire departments out there. There would be no reason for us to go and partner with the city for that. That makes no sense. And there have been no discussions on that. The police department, I would say we have one of the best police departments. If you've ever dealt with them, which I think we all have, they are one of the best. There would be no reason for us to partner with the city on that, because if you look at the city right now, their police chief is gone. I mean, they're in shambles. We would not ever partner with them. And the third one is our public works. Our public works team has a tenure of some of them more than 20 years. You see the roads, you see the condition of our streets, our public work, or our parks, everything. They are amazing. There would be no reason why we would want to be a part of the city of Pittsburgh. We would be neglected, and it would be something that doesn't make any sense. So when I see and hear these things, especially on whether they're on social media or whatever, you can reach out, contact me if you'd like. You can contact any member of council, and we will tell you that that absolutely is a false statement. 110%. I can't emphasize it enough. So reading things on social media, you go to the Crafton social media page, which we have, and we also have our website, and you can reach out to any of us. And I'm telling you, we will be transparent and open about that. So I'm open to questions about it, or if council would like to say anything regarding that issue. Yes.
I would like to underscore,
Mhm.
being mayor, being responsible for public safety, that our commitment and our appreciation of all of our first responders, our fire department,
Right.
our police department is unparalleled. And the other thing that I want to remind everybody is that everyone up here on council and mayor, okay, our solicitor and manager aside, our residents here. We are invested here, and we have the same interests you have to protect our property, protect our families, and make sure that we have the best that we can possibly have. And believe me, we do. And if any of you were here a few weeks ago, we spoke that loud and clear when we commended all of our services. So thank you.
Great. Anybody else?
No, I think it would just be echoing what you said, and I think that we've done it's not done a nice job. It sounds like we're patting ourselves on the back. That's not at all what this is. We have expressed our gratitude to these departments. Especially I think we were the most sought after borough during the winter months. So I think that we do have really wonderful teams within our borough. I just would like to thank you for acknowledging that
Yeah.
you were aware of this, that people are telling you this, but you thought, you know what, let me just go straight to the source. Let me come here and ask. Because we all know that is the thing with social media. It's very easy to kind of latch on and, oh, hey, so I appreciate you coming here and asking that. And yeah, yes, that's it. So yes, thank you for acknowledging and thank you for speaking to it. And thank you.
Yeah, I think we would all echo those same things. These are not reflective of any truth that any of us have been a part of.
And those departments all have won awards and are recognized by other boroughs, townships, and including the city for their service and for the services they provide for us.
And we just hired a new chief of police. If we had any interest of not
Right.
having our own police force, we would certainly not have done that. We would have delayed that process until we made a decision. So
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hope that's further proof that that's not true.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. Anybody online, please raise your hand. All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the president's report. We have a big agenda tonight, so I don't have anything else to report. Mayor's report.
So the only thing that I wanted to add tonight, particularly given the climate of some of the incidents we've had with our fire department. I was at an event and spoke with a representative from the Red Cross, and they reminded me that they have a program called Sound the Alarm, which provides the smoke detectors, the fire detectors, to homes, families who can't afford or are not able to deploy them themselves. And one of the things that I found, and I may have mentioned this actually previously, but the most common reasons that homes that do have smoke detectors are not functional, and as reported nationally in fire incidents, are with young families because the batteries are pulled out for toys. The ones that the Red Cross put in are permanently wired lithium batteries that last 10 years and cannot be removed for toys. So I really urge anyone to, spread the word and to reach out to the Red Cross website and apply for this benefit if you would like to. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll add something to that too, just something that I learned regarding that. I, being sustainability minded, I have always tried to buy the ones that had batteries in them that were removable so that you could replace them and keep using the same one. Well, those, if you go home and look at your fire detectors, they have an expiration date that's not very clearly mentioned, but there's an expiration date for the actual sensor as well, and they don't last more than 10 years. So it's better to actually buy the ones that have the batteries built in, because once that battery's done, most likely the unit itself is no longer a good sensor. So I advise people to do that.
And just the sound the alarm is at no cost to those residents. Mhm.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Sisters report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick announcement that we will have a short executive session after the meeting. So the solicitor can provide legal advice to counsel. That's the end of my report.
All right, engineers report, Mr. Keenan.
All right, good evening. First item is the Broadhead Sewer Project. The update is that we're currently working with Gateway to finish up the bid documents. So this can go out to bid in the next few weeks here, as soon as possible. I'll be mailing out the DBE, MBE letters that are required by the EPA to be done. Noting that Perrine Street will not be included in these bid documents. Property owner isn't shown any quick signs of commitment to sign the easement, so we want to move forward with the project, so we're gonna leave that out for now, but still are gonna pursue this to be a project in the near future, and obtain the easement that we need. To do that, we're gonna seek a new appraisal. But that's the update. That, Union Road, we did receive the alternatives analysis that has the proposed options, to fix the road. Those were introduced to the infrastructure committee at the last meeting, but we are still exploring those options and need to continue to discuss. And therefore will be on the agenda at the next infrastructure meeting.
Mr. Keenan, do you want to address, because CIT is going to be starting up. I know there's some signs up. Do you want to address that for folks that are going to the fields? Because Ewing Road won't be fixed or the resolution by the time that season starts.
Right, so with the closure of Union Road and the need to access CIT fields, there has been some detour signs put up. I think beginning along Crafton, going down Hawthorne to Woodlawn, down to Chartiers, and then back up the promenade to Ewing. So please be on the lookout for the detour signs if you are trying to access the CIT fields.
Okay.
Moving on, the C20 sewer separation project. The project has started, beginning with the initial work, including photo and video documentation and ground penetrating radar. I have here that James West Field was to be the storage area for the project supplies, but that's actually no longer the case. Some information was brought to light for us and realized that was not a good site. Now the new site is in the parking area next to the mini golf. Just a reminder of the impacted roads for this project are Steuben Street from West Crafton to Duncan, Duncan Avenue from Maxwell to Steuben, and Linden Avenue from Maxwell to Steuben. We did receive an updated project schedule as well, and based on that, a final completion date is set as November 12th this year. Next item is the DPW building. Final plan revisions were being made from Gateway. I actually did receive those final plans yesterday. Didn't get around to reviewing them just yet, but I'm going to be looking at them really soon and going over them with the Public Works Department to make sure that everything is okay with them. But nonetheless, looking out to go to bid in the next few weeks. Next item is the Steuben Linden intersection improvements project. Just a small update that it has begun and that it is expected to be completed at the end of May this year. Next is the 2025 sewer O&M repairs. The bids have closed on this project. The bid tabulations have been reviewed and a letter of recommendation for each contract has been received with the lowest responsible and responsive bidders. However, something did come up and we do want to hold off on the motion for this meeting so that we can gather some more information. But we'll hopefully look to move forward at the next meeting. Next item is the 2025 sewer CCTV project. The bids have also closed, the bid tabs reviewed, and the letter of recommendation has also been received with the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. And the recommended contractor, not contractors, singular, also provided the lowest bids for the next 3 years. If the borough decides to renew the contract. And just a reminder that this project is a survey of 10% of the borough's sewers. With that said, I'd like to call for motion to award the 2025 Crafton Borough CCTV contract to Edge AI in the amount of $51,160 as recommended by Gateway Engineers.
Ms.
Ms. Rollenbacher,
Second.
Ms. Compatello, any discussion? Question on how does this fit within the budget?
Yeah, so it is, we budgeted 50,000, so it's a 1,000 and $160 over the budget, but it was right in line, basically.
Does everybody understand too what this is? CCTV, this is going into the sewers with camera and examining the structure of our sewers.
Right. I'd like to also add that once these sewers are televised and gathered, all that information is uploaded to the GIS database, so it can be looked at any point after that.
It is critical. I mean, we're an old community and our sewers are built for 100+ years ago. So with that, you know, these are really important initiatives to make sure our sewers continue to run into the many years down the road.
Indicated that they provided the lowest bids for the next 3 years. What's the percentage increase per year?
It's actually not a increase every year. It's based on how they broke out the linear feet, and next year is, I think, 70,000, but then the following year is 58, because it's based on what they're actually chunky, you know, like, so
By the
you
foot.
can't do exactly 10%. So you do, like, when they lay it out, they do what they can to get it as close to 10%. And so next year actually has a little bit more. And then the following years, I think, go back down to like 58 and 52 or something.
Yeah, I actually have those numbers here.
Oh, okay.
So for 2026, it's 78,960. 2027, 55,965, and 2028, 52,380.
That's pretty good memory based on that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no, all right, we're still in discussion. Any more discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. You may proceed.
All right, thank you. Got it. The Station Street retaining wall, the wall that's slowly failing over on Division and Station Street. We did receive some new retaining wall options. Those were proposed to the Infrastructure Committee at the last meeting. These were just introduced at the time, not discussed thoroughly in depth, but will be on the agenda for the next meeting to continue discussing. Next item is the People's Gas main work. Sidewalk restoration work has begun, but I was told that it is supposed to end tomorrow. No update if that will continue or not. But again, the impacted streets for this have been primarily North Linwood and the intersecting streets from Cornell up to Park Street.
And having talked to some residents, they commented that they are doing an excellent job on the repairs for the gas company. Whoever's using it, they're very, very pleased with how they put them together. It was rocky with the gravel and everything else, but they're doing an excellent job.
Yeah, we received a few calls about some signage as well.
Yeah,
I've been
That's,
reaching out, letting them know
Mhm.
that that's been taken care of. Actually meeting up with the restoration supervisor tomorrow to discuss, so I'll let them know that they're doing their job.
Yep.
All right, next is the Linwood Noble Parks project. We have received the Linwood survey. I've reviewed it. Looks pretty good. I was able to get it into the Craft and Borough title block and CAD and have it ready to get started doing a good, better, best scenario with that. The surveyor's still currently finishing up the Noble Park survey. Looking to get that probably next week or so. Next one is the 2025 road paving and brick plan. First is the brick road assessment. This is a project that's looking to get started this spring and looking to get it done in-house. I've actually started doing a little work on that and drawing some boundaries in CAD, trying to determine the total square footage of brick roads in Crafton. And just like to report that based on my measurements, there's 532,560 square feet of brick road in Crafton.
Should we say that number again?
532,560 square feet based on my measurements. That's total brick road. And based on a brick repair cost assessment last summer that I received, the cost ranged between $27 and $29 a square foot to repair a brick road. And if you compare that with that number I just gave you, you're looking between $14 and $15 million if you wanted to redo all the brick in Crafton based on that. Just a want to share on fact. Okay, but moving on, the other part is the road paving. Some of that is going to be taking place with the Broadhead Sewer Separation Project. Those streets to be impacted are Belvedere, Broadhead, Coulter, North Emily, Park, Warren, and Cornell and North Linwood will have their brick trenches repaired. Other streets included in the road paving are the remaining roads from last year. Those are Home Avenue, Sterrett Street, where the PA American Water Utility work took place, Rush Way between Perrine and Sterrett, Newville Way, and Prince Alley. And the last item is the permit applications, section, going over any received permit applications for street utility work. Only one to report from PA American Water, and it is a street opening and excavation. Location 424 Mueller Avenue with the expected repair dimensions to be 7 foot by 4 foot. And with that, that concludes the engineer's report.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, you go. We probably have similar questions.
The remaining roads to be paid from 2024, those were the ones that were prepaid, correct, out of part of 2024's budget? Yes,
Correct.
thank you.
We did not have the same question. Larry, just going back to the sewer O&M repairs that we're gonna you found out some new information and we're gonna hold on that. I'm just curious this doesn't impact timelines. I don't know if we had sort of anything in place, just, okay.
Yeah, we've actually gone out pretty early for
Got
the
it,
bid.
right,
And
for
we
the
did,
bids.
and we did this because everybody's EPA consent decrees are due this year.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
there's gonna be inflated prices in the sewer world, and because of that.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to get that out as quickly as we could.
Okay.
But these prices are locked in now. We just have to discuss some of that minute detail.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure.
I think that's something we haven't talked about in a little bit, which is the consent decree and where we are. Based on prior councils, prior to almost all of us, except for Ms. Perry, is that thinking ahead, they were able to put these things in place to actually do the sewer at Crafton Boulevard and Broadhead ahead of time. So now we're not rushing and we're going to meet the deadlines required for the consent decree. Whereas other boroughs and townships are struggling and or going to have to pay more, especially we did it prior to inflation and the costs all going up. So I think it's, to commend our prior councils and Ms. Perry for really making those decisions in the past, hard decisions, including the bond.
Absolutely.
bond.
And the thing about that too is that there were fewer municipalities at the application process. And so we were able to really get outsized funds. And the just to remind everybody, the bond fund, which was used to match and then to also self-fund until the work was done and we got the money back. It was very, it was very good timing and we've done exceedingly well.
Yeah, we will
compared to
be-
the municipalities.
We will be well past 20
80%.
million dollars. Turning that $9 billion bond fund into more than $20 million worth of work.
Mhm.
So.
And ultimately, it's good. We're separating the sewer water from the runoff water and environmentally, that's very good. So it stays out of Chartiers Creek and other rivers. Okay, and anything else on the engineers? Okay, managers report, Mr. Price.
Right, thank you. First up is the Trail Study Committee. The Trail Study Subcommittee met on Monday for the second time, March 24th, to discuss their independent reviews of the trail study proposals. We received from 9 different firms. And we had a good robust discussion on Monday about that, they all brought independent scoring sheets and we went over those. And there were 2 or 3 clear top contenders and it was unanimous in the end who they approved. So the committee is recommending that the proposal received by GAI Consultants, Inc. in the amount of $78,000. And so this was budgeted in the bond fund and the borough is contributing half the amount. So this is 39,000 of this is coming out of the borough bond fund. And so I'd like a motion to approve the trail feasibility study proposal from GAI Consultants, Inc. in the amount of $78,000.
So then,
Ms.
Second.
Bolenbacher, Ms. Compatella. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Next up on my list is the Crafton Season Pool Hire List. This is a list of the 2025 seasonal pool employees the borough plans to hire on the Council OneDrive. So I'd like to get a motion to approve the 2025 seasonal employment hire list for the Crafton swimming pool as recommended by the pool manager.
So moved.
Wait, Mr. Hope,
Second,
Ms. Paul Kalanick. Any questions or discussion?
Did we fill all the positions or there's still any?
No, we filled them all and we had to turn people away, so it's been good. Yep.
And this shows, again, like last year, a lot of returning folks coming back to the pool, including, I believe, the whole management staff is returning. And most of the workers, seasonal workers, are all coming back. So very good, especially in an economy that is challenged with finding people.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay, and this next item has, the council has actually already approved this purchase. This is simply for the lease, and then in the next iteration of this, we have a pickup truck to buy, next period or the next month. I will be just doing this in one piece, but, so this is a lease for the Public Works dump truck purchase. So we want to approve resolution 2025-04, permitting the borough to enter a 3-year lease with Huntington Bank in the amount of $127,835 to be repaid annually. After accounting for interest, this is $15,000 less than what was budgeted. So I'd like to get a motion to approve resolution 2025-04, permitting the borough to enter into a 3-year lease agreement for a Ford F-550 dump truck and custom dump body with Huntington Bank in the amount of $127,835.
So moved.
Hey, Mr. Ho,
Second.
Ms. Comptello, okay. Any discussion or questions? To address this item, why are we purchasing the dump truck?
Oh, that's a good question. So we have, actually, this was prior to my time, but prior to my time, the Borough Council set up a capital fund or a capital plan to replace all vehicles in the borough on a regular basis to ensure that when you sell them, they still have life left in them. They're still in reasonably decent shape, so you're able to make money off them. And then we are buying new vehicles, and it has just been a much more efficient way to do it. So every, I think dump trucks last, we have them for 8 years. And so at the end of their 8-year life, they automatically go into being resold. And the same is true for our police vehicles and for smaller like skid steers and other vehicles that we have. So we have a regular schedule to replace them so that they're not a shock ever to the system. They're just regularly replaced on a periodic basis.
But each of those vehicle types have different lives.
They do. The police cars only last about 4 years before they've lost a significant portion of their value. So we sell those after 4. We sell dump trucks after 8. And then there's variations from there.
Any other questions or discussion? Yeah. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Great. All right, and the next item is a relatively new item for us. We have talked about this in the past, and we talked about this during budget season. But this is a DCNR grant resolution for a project that we submitted for the Crafton Pool area. And this is rehabilitation and improvements, including a new slide, a pavilion in the pool area, which has been requested for several years, a new bathhouse roof, concession stand improvements, including air conditioning in the concession stand and an awning for patrons outside, and a new ADA cheer lift, as well as some games that some larger games for the that would be available for patrons outside of the pool, like a concrete ping pong table, a new bocce ball court, and a rental cornhole game. And that's that application. Also, we met with DCNR rep earlier this week to discuss the work that was done at the pool house, and we also discussed this project with them. And we did find that this actually was listed in a feasibility study from 2012 that was phased in at that point, and it had never gotten done. This pool, the slide was never replaced, and several of the other things that were recommended at that time were not done. But this is now a request for us to do this, and we've already gotten several letters of support from other entities like Dan Deasy and Wayne Fontana. So they've already given us letters of support for this. So we're in great shape. And then also the estimate for this project is about $450,000. We are using Public Works labor for some of the match, so that will bring down our expected cash influx to be lower. So we expect that to be about 30,000. So we're expecting our match to be somewhere under 200,000, hopefully by the end. So with that, I'd like the motion to move to adopt resolution 2025-05, requesting a grant of $225,000 from DCNR for craft and pool area rehabilitation and improvements.
Ms. Bowenbach,
Second.
Ms. Contello, questions or discussion? So for clarity, this is just to request the grant. This is not making any commitments. This is just to request an application for the grant.
That's correct. Yep, you have to file a resolution when you apply for a grant.
And do we have any plans for how we're going to match?
Yeah, we, according to budget, assuming things go well this year and we match the budget with all the sewer projects and all that, we should have enough left in the bond fund for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The goal would be to do this after this summer.
Oh, yeah, this wouldn't come in until probably, I don't think these come out until late fall. So the earliest would be next summer, and you could push it off beyond that too. Like, for example, if we end up not being done with the sewer projects, not having a clear budget, usually these grants are available. Once you've been awarded a grant, you don't get the money until you spend it. So once you've been awarded the grant, you have a certain number of years to spend it. And I think we probably have some flexibility on that. I think it's 3 years typically. You look like you were gonna ask this, okay.
So I just, I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself on any of the, I was gonna say the grant application. So DCNR, that's through the state.
Right.
So I know we all know there's lots happening out there nationally with funding for these type of things, but this is through the state. This is just to basically get the approval to go for it. And then we'll wait and see how that plays out.
That's correct. And that's actually a good question. DCNR does use federal funds when they get larger grants.
Okay.
And so that was actually something that was discussed when we were with them. If you generally keep it under $500,000, if you go over $500,000, typically the state will then go out to tap into their federal funds. They have a pool of federal funds available to them. I don't know if that's still a thing, but that's how it typically works. So keeping it under 500,000, and that wasn't necessarily the intent. That's what the numbers played out for what people had asked for. And so you're able to, and the decision is easier too, because I think it's done at the district level at that point. So the local DCNR district is able to make that decision as opposed to having to send it to a larger process.
Okay.
Yep.
Any additional questions? Okay. Motion on the table, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right. Thank you. All right, so the last item is just an information sharing, and that is to let everybody know that I did meet with Ann Lewis, who is the director of the Land Bank, and Natalie Boydston, who is also a member of the Land Bank, or a member of the Land Bank staff, joined me to go to a Carlington School Board meeting on March 11th to discuss the possibility of joining the Land Bank, which is essentially a tool that was provided by the state legislator in 2012 to allow municipalities to try to deal with blight that they have. It's a way to dispossess buildings that aren't getting sold on the market and aren't getting sold in sheriff sales. So this is a way to for them to be able to go, this land bank has the ability to purchase those at a discounted rate and without liens guaranteed. So that allows then for us to tell the land bank which houses we would like to be able to rehabilitate because they're tax delinquent and vacant. And then they buy them and then sell them. You can go to their website and see what properties they already have for sale. And it's all over where they're members. The school board seemed to be receptive to it. And so we're going to continue the conversation and see where it goes. And we do have to sign up. If we do sign up for the land bank, we sign up. You sign up by October. You have to sign up. They only do it once a year so that people don't try to go in and out of the land bank all the time. It's a once a year join. And we do have several properties that could go into the land bank. That's it.
Any questions?
So the land bank, they fix up the house were part of that process. They're the ones that would manage the cell.
They do it all.
They do it
So
all.
they basically, the only thing that the borough does is we pay a fee to them every
Mhm.
year. It's based on a small percentage of our delinquent taxes from the prior year. We agreed to give them half of the tax revenue for the first 5 years after it's sold. So that's how they have the
That's-
money to
yeah.
do this, to make this process work. When the nice thing is though, immediately if they sell it and and someone lives in it, then the borough gets all of the EIT taxes from that. And then they get half the real estate taxes, and then after 5 years, it goes to them. But the only thing we do is we have members on advisory committees. So when they're making the selection each year of which properties they're gonna go after through sheriff's sale, they will ask us which properties are our highest priority, and then those are the ones they go after.
And we have someone that's on that advisory.
Yep, we will, I mean, if we join, yes.
If we would
will-
join, okay.
We will have someone. on
Okay.
that.
And this is
Right.
a tool this is a way that we can address some of those vacant and dilapidated properties we have. This is focused on properties that are falling into disrepair, and those properties, if they are vacant, if they're aging and falling into disrepair and no one is maintaining them, it is very expensive for us to be able to take control of it at some point. It is very expensive for us to look into things like demolitions that cost the borough money. So this is a way for us to address some of those blighted properties that in a more productive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes to the goal of not knocking down houses. You want to avoid at all costs because the economics of building a new house is not there. You know, the average in December and January of this year, the average house per square foot in Crafton sold for $70 per square foot. The cost of building a house in Crafton is about $200 to $250 per square foot. So you're not going to, once houses get knocked down, it's highly unlikely in this market or any near market that they're going to get rebuilt.
And just before any buzzwords get taken out of context here, we're talking about land bank and school district. And can I just confirm that that has nothing to do with any properties that are owned by the school district and or the municipality along Linden?
That's correct.
Thank you.
They have, and they can't be, they have to be tax delinquent
Exactly.
properties. You can't even take a property sheriff sale without it being that.
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Price. Community and Economic Development, Mr. Tedesco.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I will be succinct and quick. Item A, the Business Development Committee Working Group met, I believe it was a week and a half ago, Greg, 2 weeks ago, thereabout. Greg's on the committee. It was a really fun conversation. There's 12 members on the committee. 6 of them are local business owners, small business owners, and their perspectives are very valuable. And just from that first meeting, we got great feedback about opportunities to improve their business environment within Crafton. So we're going to keep meeting, and we'll have deliverables that in the immediate future will look like a business directory for Crafton. We'll organize a social mixer for all the small businesses. We're talking about a welcome packet for new businesses in town. And those were just the deliverables from the first meeting. So I'm sure there's going to be more to come from the business development subcommittee. As council knows, we are still discussing the draft website, which is under review. Thank you, Mr. Hof, for pointing out the very technical security questions that needed to be asked, but we don't know what we don't know, and you know about that. So thank you for passing those along.
Those were resident provided. I can't take credit for
Okay,
that.
so perfect. So we will continue to review the website and see if we can improve it and perhaps launch it. Rental inspection safety ordinance. We have worked with the chief of the volunteer fire department to improve our draft rental inspection safety ordinance. And he has concurred that it meets his expectations, and we went around for a number of months on the conversation. So the ordinance is far better than it was where we started. Thank you, Mr. Corbell, for putting your legal stamp on it. That is much appreciated. The goal of the ordinance is we want our renters to have good landlords in town that provide safe and well-maintained properties. And so this ordinance flips the script for the landlords in town. Right now, under our current code, our current law, they are responsible to come to us for all permitting requirements and inspections. And if they don't come to us, we do not have a mechanism to know that they exist necessarily. So this flips it whereby every 3 years, every rental property in town gets inspected. And it maintains that when rental units flip, they get inspected, and when commercial properties flip, they get inspected as well. And all of this is from a land safety, fire safety perspective. So that will really help us crack down on the less than responsible landlords that maybe don't maintain their property as well as their neighbors. So this is coming down the pipeline for your consideration in the coming weeks.
Say,
Yes.
before you go on, I just wanted to say thank you for looking into that and remind everyone, this is something that, council has been talking about for several years. And has been, has gone through a few different phases of development to get it to this level. And I'd like to say thank you for the update that it's getting ready to bring back to us, to the community, to finally finalize, because it has been something we've been talking about and trying to move forward for a few years.
Yeah, Mike, real quick too, and it's here, but I just want to make sure, because I know you didn't say it in case anybody's just listening. It was shared via our space. I know I saw it on our Craft and Borough Facebook page, like the post for that. So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's posted everywhere.
yeah, it's
Yes.
out there for folks to review. Okay.
Yes. And then 2 more items, Planning Commission, zoning update. Let me start with our regularly scheduled April 22nd meeting has moved to April 29th to accommodate a council meeting that evening. So April 29th is the next Planning Commission meeting. That's Tuesday at 6:30 PM in these chambers. Next week on Wednesday, April 2nd, from 6 to 8:30 in the community room next door, we will hold an open public forum to discuss all things zoning and get more public feedback on the topic. Jim and I had a great conversation with the facilitator. We were talking about perhaps facilitating the meeting on Tuesday, and on Wednesday. And she challenged our assumption that a sole facilitator running a meeting is perhaps not the best way to stimulate a diversity of comments and comfortable in casual conversations on any topic people want to relay regarding the zoning code. So we concurred with her advice, and so we're pivoting back to more of an open house format. People can come and go. Please join us. All are welcome. We'll have some booths set up. Jim and I will be there. Planning Commission solicitor will be there. The facilitator will be there, just kind of help guide traffic, and she's going to provide some great background materials as well. So it'll be a good event and go for a couple and a half hours, and all are welcome, and we're looking forward to it. Following up on the event, we're considering an internet survey as well, with related information associated with that. That's still a little bit in development, but I think Jim and I are on the same page. That seems like a good idea. So more to come on that topic. And then finally, Ewing Road, the new house on Ewing Road that requires moving a lot line with their neighbors. That application, let me back up a step. We briefed Planning Commission on Tuesday on the topic. From all appearances, they appear comfortable with the concept. It does fall under our subdivision ordinance, chapter 197, because they're moving a lot line. So that triggers a lot of regulations associated with building this house. So council's going to get packets. They're going to get the full application packet. Solicitor will get a copy. Planning Commission gets a copy. Licensed engineers get a copy. And then there's a lot of review, and Planning Commission considers it first, and then it comes to council. So that is also coming down the pipeline for you. That concludes my report.
Any questions? No. All right. Standing committee reports, Finance, Administration, Sustainability. Mr. Hope.
Thank you. I'm going to go slightly out of order here. I'd like to jump to number 2 first, which is the 2024 final reconciliation. So I have some numbers, so I have to use my notes here. So give me a second. All right. So you might remember at the January 23rd council meeting, we reported the 2024 budget to actual year-end financials for the general fund, the road fund, and the sewer fund. And that report was based on a preliminary financial analysis basically the spreadsheet that we use throughout the year to track financials. That's what we use. But in the weeks after that preliminary report, we decided to go through and finalize the 2024 financials. And there were some items from that spreadsheet that changed due to the way that things were coded for accounting. And those items affected the overall balance for each of the funds. So therefore, I'd like to review the final 2024 budget to actual year-end financials. So for 2024, the general fund, we'll start with that. The general fund's final balance was $91,214. And that means that the general fund was under budget by $20,000 more than we had previously reported. So that's very good. For 2024, the road fund's final balance was $18,457. And that means that the road fund was actually under budget and not over budget by $8,000-ish as we had previously reported. So that's also good. And lastly, for 2024, the sewer fund's final balance was actually negative $104,960. That means that the sewer fund was actually over budget and not under budget as we had previously reported. And the reason for the sewer fund difference was due to how some of the items were being encoded, what I referenced earlier. And as a result, those items were not showing up in our financial calculations. But identifying these coding and calculation discrepancies is going to help us prevent those from reoccurring this year or in future years. So we're constantly trying to improve the way that we're watching our financials throughout the year. So across all three of the funds, the borough still ended 2024 under budget, as previously reported. And overall, we were under budget by a combined total of $4,711 across all three funds. And I'd just like to reiterate as well that this council's commitment to fiscal responsibility and financial transparency and finalizing this 2024 budget report to actual is a reflection of that continued commitment. So going back through it with a fine tooth comb and really making sure that we've got exact numbers and reporting them exactly for everyone. So any questions about the 2024 final reconciliation?
I wanted to clarify, when you mentioned the negative number in the sewer
Yes.
fund, all of our funds have reserve
Yes.
funds. And do you happen to have the number, or Jim?
Not
But
in front of me.
it's significant. We have a
Yes.
significant reserve. It's not like we've got, hanging out there and we owe somebody money.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it's close to $1 million, I think. at this point.
Exactly.
I don't know exactly what it is.
I will add that to my list and we can just do a little follow-up report about what that was. We have the numbers, but I don't want to
Right,
waste
so-
time digging them
so,
out right now.
To reiterate, that there's about $1 million, close to somewhere
Yes,
in the neighborhood of $1 million in the sewer reserve fund, and it is healthy.
yes, correct.
Thank you.
And actually, to add to that, in this year's budget, we are adding $325,000 to that reserve.
Yes.
So we're adding back to that reserve this year, so.
So then to number one, 2025 budget to actual numbers. The committee met and reviewed the 2025 budget to actual through the end of February. And all line items, all three funds are trending as expected compared to previous years. So there was nothing at this point in time that is any kind of red flag or anything to look out for. We're only 60 days into the year review wise. So there's a few small things that we're keeping our eye on, but there's nothing that's needs any further attention at this point in time. We'll keep an eye on them throughout the year and give updates as those happen. And lastly, this was still on the last meeting agenda, but the police collective bargaining agreement, once again, the current agreement expires on December 31st, 2025, and we're preparing for negotiations with the police department. And again, we're looking forward to that. We have a wonderful police department and we're looking forward to speaking with them and updating the contract for the future. So that's
Any
all.
questions? All right, infrastructure and land use, Ms. Confello.
Sure. Well, the first item for the Infrastructure and Land Use Committee today is unfortunately some sad news. We applied last year for a grant for community project funding. This was supported through our representative Deluzio. It was federal funding. The funds were, unfortunately, the federal government has closed those funds for the year. We were not unsuccessful in our bid. They simply did not fund anything. So we had submitted that grant application for roadway and sidewalk improvements in front of the elementary school along Crafton Boulevard. It was done in collaboration with the school district. They were very excited about it also. We had looked at potentially being able to use some improvements along that area to improve the intersection, to improve the way that the bus is able to drop off, to give more sidewalk space for students so that they're not trying to get off the bus and walking past the sidewalk at the same time. We had also done some outreach to the city of Pittsburgh because that stretch of Crafton Boulevard is Crafton on one side and the city of Pittsburgh on the other. And sure many of us know that we often have our police chief sitting out there in his cruiser in the mornings when kids are coming to school, and also in the evenings when they're going home, to help manage the frequency with which people are stopped in the middle of the road. Students are trying to walk in the middle of the road and cross mid-block. So we had some productive conversations with both the school district and city of Pittsburgh to do that grant application, hoping that we would be able to use those funds to make some roadway improvements. And that is the long story. Long story short, we did not get the funding. We are going to reapply. Representative DeLucio is inviting, all of the applicants from last year to simply resubmit for the next fiscal year. There's no guarantee, of course, that the federal government will reopen that program next year, but we have our application already together. So we will resubmit it and see if we are successful next year. Two other items on the agenda for me are just reminders. These have been on the agendas the past few meetings. We did receive funding through the state for an energy audit. I believe it was about $50,000.
That's correct.
For an energy audit that was received through state funding. We have already started that audit. There are no other updates to share at this time. That is applying to municipal buildings, to borough-owned buildings. And then the third item is we also received a DCED multimodal grant. We talked about this at the last council meeting. This one was very good news, especially as we found out about it rather last minute and put together a grant application very quickly. And so we're very happy that we were successful, which doesn't happen often in those quick turnaround conditions. But that is DCED funding, also from the state, for multimodal pedestrian and walkability connectivity improvements in our downtown. We applied for $3 million, which required no match. So that was made it very easy for us to put a grant application together quickly. We did not have to have match funds on board. And we requested the $3 million that we were able to request. We only got about 1/10 of that. So we're happy to get some funding. We were awarded $325,000, but it is much less than we had applied for. So currently, I've asked the infrastructure committee has asked the borough manager and the engineer to go through what that grant allows. We can't use it for things that we didn't initially intend to use it for. But we're going through the list. They're going through the list of what we requested that $3 million for and starting to create kind of a pared down menu of what's feasible for $325,000. This is mostly for construction. It's not a planning grant. So they're putting together that streamlined menu of options that will be reviewed by the infrastructure committee at our next meeting. And then it'll come to council to kind of understand and discuss and vote on or continue discussing. We're not really sure yet what we can do with that, but that's in the exploratory phase. It'll go to the infrastructure committee once they have some numbers together, and then it'll come to council, and then we will also take it to the planning commission.
And what about the public input on this one too?
There will most likely be public input also, but again, this is mostly for construction, and we're not sure 325,000 doesn't go very far. So we're not sure yet really what options we will be able to cover. We may find when we look at that menu that we really only we can really only afford nice new signage. So yes, we did talk about doing a survey, doing some public input. We'll know more once we know more what kinds of options we actually have to look at. That was all for my agenda. I did have one other informational item I was going to mention at the end, but we have a long agenda. I might mention it now if anyone doesn't mind. I know this is also something I think a lot of people in the community have noticed. Not a Crafton item, but it impacts us. Our bus service is having a funding crisis. PRT put out, they were in the news a lot last week. They are struggling. They have been for several years. They have not received additional funding. Their revenues have not gone up. But costs have gone up. Costs have gone up for all of us. Inflation is a thing. And their revenues have stayed static for many, many years. So they are increasingly struggling with funding. And what that means, as some of our residents may have seen, is that they are proposing that they will cut service very substantially unless the state, unless they get, new revenues. So it is not yet a done deal. But we did want to share that with our community residents. If there are questions about what that means or how real it is or isn't, please feel free to direct those to us. I know we are all tracking it. We are now at the point where we can, and community members can also do this, submit letters to your state representatives in support of transit, if that's something that you want in this community. We will share more information as we know more about, whether those cuts become real or not. Crafton does have five buses, and if the revenue shortfall isn't made up, the cuts that PRT floated last week would remove 4 of our 5 bus lines. So just some community information, and please do ask us questions if you have any. Council is going to be continuing to try to pay attention to this and get information out to the community.
I'd like to keep this on the agenda so that we can maybe get some updates at every council meeting on this. Okay.
As more general information, not particularly under my committee, but that is all for my update.
Thank you. Communication Recreation, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Upcoming community events, we have our cleanup and shred event happening on Saturday, April 12th. From 8 a.m. to noon in Crafton Park, there will be paper shredding. They will also have a medicine take back as well as dumpsters available. In conjunction with that, we'll also have our own community day cleanup. That'll be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. That will start at the Borough Building, where they will hand out supplies. We just kind of have to show up, be ready to work, and you can help clean up our neighborhood. All community members, of course, are welcome to both. We also have our Arbor Day celebration coming up on Saturday, April 26th. That'll be at 10 a.m. This will be in Crafton Park. This will be the 36th year we've been recognized as a Tree City USA. And in honor, we will be making a dedication to Betsy Martin with planting a brand new oak tree in her name. We have on Saturday, May 17th, our community garden. It's our 10th anniversary party from 12 to 1. We're planning to have a cocktail hour with hors d'oeuvres, sangria, and live music. Tickets will be sold for that hour at $25 per person, $20 for seniors. After that, from 1 to 4, there will be free activities for everybody who would like to join. Some things that'll be there will be garden tours, cooking and seed sowing, demonstrations will happen as well. Some other upcoming events that I'll have detail as they get a little closer is Independence Day, which is Friday, July 4th. Fall Fest, which is Saturday, September 27th. Celebration of Lights, which is Saturday, December 6th. And the Holiday House Tour, which is Sunday, December 14th. And in the spirit of trying to keep this brief, I have mentioned ongoing events in the past couple of meetings. In trying to stay brief, I'm not going to really mention them. Just please refer to our calendar to remind you of all those wonderful events that are happening in our neighborhood. And last but not least, as always, Rec Board is always looking for volunteers. So please go to the website and help them out. They do a great job and they could use some. Our next newsletter, we're slating to have out in June. So emails will be out pretty soon to start requesting for new articles. But at this point, you should have received your most current newsletter. That should have been out a good week or two ago.
That's correct. And if you don't, there are a few over here. We have been having issues with the post office and we are investigating that.
We also have a digital download on the website for you as well. And unless anybody has any questions, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board commissions recruiting, Ms. Buconic.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have some exciting motions here. So first up is Shade Tree. We had some really great applicants apply for our Shade Tree. We had a vacant seat coming up. So I am looking for a motion to appoint Sarah Reeder to the open Shade Tree seat for a term set to expire on March 31st, 2030.
So moved.
Ms. Bolenbacher,
Second.
Ms. Compatello. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have civil service alternates. We've had 2 seats available for a while, so I was very excited to have Matt Barbie apply to one. Great conversation there. So again, I'm looking for a motion to appoint Matt Barbie to the open civil service alternate seat for a term set to expire on February 1st, 2029.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Hope,
Second.
Ms. Comptello. Any questions or discussion? Good. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
And on both of those, before I go into our open positions, well, it doesn't matter where I say it, just to reiterate that process of the application. We received the application, we acknowledge, we set up an interview. The chairperson of the committee sits on that interview with myself, with Kirsten, if both of us are available, and that's how that process is conducted. So current open positions, we have a couple more, so still doing a great job of trying to keep these full civil service. We have an alternate. We currently now will have 1 alternate seat available. Planning Commission, we do have a couple seats coming up down the road here since Vince, Mr. Radilla resigned. We have his seat as well as 2 current individuals on the commission. Their terms are expiring. So just lots of things in the work with Planning Commission. So really, again, great applicants coming through, going through that process with the team. I'm transparency, I am going to say one of those seats is the current chairperson. So we have asked 2 members of Planning Commission to sit in on those interviews with us because we did not feel it was the right thing to do to have the chairperson who has to reapply. So just so everyone knows, that is the process that we are doing with Planning Commission. And then Shade Tree was listed, but we just appointed Sarah. So upcoming positions, a little bit later down the road here, we're going to have a zoning hearing board, not only a 3-year regular term and alternate term as well. So doing a good job. Thank you to everyone who is applying, who is showing interest. I'm trying to make sure it is being communicated in all channels when these seats are available. And if anyone has any questions on the application process that we go through, please let me know. So.
Great. Thank you, Ms. McCormick.
Yep.
The COG, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Thank you. Our last meeting was in Crescent, Pennsylvania. There wasn't a whole lot to report back on that. It was mainly just reports from all the local communities. There wasn't anything communal that I really needed to report back on. So I'm just going to report that the next meeting will be next Thursday, the next one will be Thursday, April 17th. It'll be in Carnegie. So it's always open invitation if anyone would like to join.
Thank you. All right. Next up is our council vacancy. So as we spoke at the last meeting, Mr. Radilla resigned because he's leaving the area and he's moving. So he gave his resignation on March 1st. And council has to agree to the public interview process, which we've done in the past, where we have people that have applied for the position, do a public interview, there's public Q&A, and then council makes a decision based on that appointment. There are time guidelines for that. So what it means is the council has 45 days to accept the person's resignation. If we don't accept it after those 45 days, they automatically are accepted. So that date would be April 14th. Then after that date, we have 30 days, whatever day the council accepts, or later, which would be the April 14th, we have 30 days to fill the seat before it actually goes to the vacancy board. So where we are tonight is at the last meeting, we did lots of advertisement for the open position. We had 2 applicants for the position, and both of them are here and or virtual tonight. How the process will go is Each applicant will have 5 minutes to speak. They can say whatever they want. And then council has Q&A, and council can Q&A as long as we want. We have the folks in order of how they apply to make it a very fair and open process. And then at the end of those interviews, we will have council, we will either accept the resignation and vote on the candidate or potentially table that to the next meeting. And it all depends on the council's decision for that. If we decide to vote and accept it, the person that gets the seat will be attending the next meeting and be the official council person sworn in by the mayor after verification of their affidavit for residency, which I have both of them right here. Any questions on the process? Okay. All right, hearing none, we will get started. The first one is Justin Marks. Mr. Marks, can you hear us and talk?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So you will have, are you gonna, okay. You will have 5 minutes. You may start.
Give me 1 second here.
Are you going to turn your camera on, Justin, or no?
I'm standing in the middle of the street in Austin, Texas right now, so I don't know if how helpful that would be. Okay, so okay, I'm good to go. Thank you, council, and thank you to all the neighbors listening in. I'll do my best to keep this short. I'm Justin. I've lived in Crafton for 9 years, and if we haven't met, I'd like to change that. I live at 31 Oregon Avenue, and if you ever want to chat, feel free to pop by. You'll have to wait until Saturday because I'm out of town right now for work. I've been working in IT for almost 20 years, and I am now an engineer helping multi-billion-dollar companies run their platforms. I'm a cost optimization specialist. I've saved some of my customers multiple millions of dollars annually. I am a native Yinzer. Crafton is my home, my family's home, my kids' home. I hope one day that it might be home for my grandkids if I'm ever that lucky down the road. And you know, I was elected to council for a 2-year seat back in 2022 and 2023. You know, I've taken pride in being part of you know, the communications and rec committee, later the finance committee. I voted to keep the millage and our taxes steady from the borough perspective, improving parks and the stairs, renovating the pool bathhouse, and some of the more fun things like bigger fireworks for the 4th of July celebration. And I'd like to think that I am responsible for the Zoom meeting that I can join today to talk with you all. And you know, there's a lot going on right now in Crafton between zoning updates and sewer work and public works building. You know, what's been going on at Ewing Road, all the business development conversations. And, you know, there's also a lot of feedback and calls for more community engagement and transparency. And, you know, I hear those concerns. I've dealt with these issues before, and I feel like I can come to council and hit the ground running. You know, and I guess just to wrap up, you know, there's, according to the census in 2023, there's about 5,866 people in Crafton. And I, you know, have every intention to serve all of them. And whether that's by appointment or election later this year, hopefully both. You know, I look forward to working with everybody if appointed tonight or in the future. So thanks for the consideration. I'll cede the rest of my time for Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Marks, and make sure to stay on.
Yeah, sure.
So now it turns to council to ask any questions of Mr. Marks that you have.
I'm going first. That's
Yeah,
that's
go
what I'm
ahead.
scared of each other.
Nope, go ahead.
Some.
Justin, so obviously you referenced and it was on your application as well, and I was aware of this, but you previously served on council. I'm curious, what would you do differently this time around?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, what would I do differently? So I'm hoping to get more involved in, maybe a different committee this time. It sounds like most of the folks already doing rec and finance are doing a great job. So maybe I could help some other way. All the website work is also super interesting to me. I can absolutely help with more technical ambitions of the town. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, especially from the community engagement perspective, we've heard a lot of feedback. I've heard a lot of feedback about making sure that we're doing better to reach some of the less internet, savvy folks around. So, I have a couple of ideas that I think I'd like to chew on and bring to everybody this time around to see if we can make that a better experience for everybody.
Great. I have a question, Mr. Marks. Why do you want to do this role? What's pushing you to apply for the council seat, appointed council seat?
Yeah, I mean, likely the same thing that had me running 2 to 3 years ago. I care about this town. I'm invested for the long run. I like to think I can be, a trusted neighbor, and I like to hear people's input. And honestly, with a lot of the exciting things going on around town, I've had multiple people kind of tugging on my sleeve ever since I, stopped my last term, right? And asking me like, hey, what's going on? And kind of valuing my opinion. So I feel like I feel kind of compelled to keep giving back. Thankfully, my kids are starting to get a little older, and they're both going to be in school next year. So maybe that'll help free up a little bit of the time aspect. But yeah, it's just here for the long run, and I'm hoping to be kind of a pragmatic, part of Crafton's future.
With that, why didn't you rerun for your seat 2 years ago?
Also a good question. Yeah, it's I think it was just a matter of time, and there's a lot of other external factors in my life, everybody's life, right? I think everybody that's serving now is they have full-time jobs and dealing with all kinds of other things going on in their lives. I felt like I needed a break, and now I feel like I'm ready to start again. And I made sure that I could, serve the term that I signed up for, right? The 2-year term that I signed up for. And I needed a break, and now I feel like I'm ready to serve, until the end of this year. And obviously, I've shown my intention to run for a 4-year seat. Again, with every intention to fill those 4 years. So.
Hey, Justin, it's Pam. So I guess my question kind of is you've I'm just trying to keep threading the needle, and you've already kind of mentioned it a little bit about having better, ways to communicate with folks that might not be online or attend a meeting. So I guess curious if you have thought anything through what that might look like. But in addition to that, from your time here, you sat, right here with us. You sat here, right here beside me. I think we all were pretty transparent and honest with what we knew. So knowing that you, I think, have your finger on the pulse of sort of some of the unease that we kind of pick up from people not thinking we're being like fully honest or transparent. Like I said, you sat in this seat. How are you thinking about, if you are appointed, having that transparent communication, not only with the folks here, but also with those communications to folks that might you know, not have access to social media or the computer or be able to be here. I'm just more curious on your approach and thinking through what you knew then, what you know now, what you hear, and how you think about that if you're appointed.
From like an individual perspective, right? I like to think I make myself pretty accessible. Anybody in the neighborhood who's ever wanted to, you know, walk up to my porch or talk about what's going on or meet up somewhere, right? I'm always happy to make time. So from like an individual perspective, you know, I like to think I'm an open book, and I like to go to the events at the parks and the library and all of the various public meetings that we've been holding. So like from my perspective, for me, I like to just be accessible to folks. From like a council perspective, right? You know, I think there's been, again, particularly like some of the places like the towers and some other areas where there's kind of like a higher concentration of folks. You know, I think we do a pretty good job with the newsletter, making sure that folks are getting at least quarterly updates on what's going on. Having been part of, you know, that process for about a year, you know, I love the newsletter. Hopefully everybody's getting them and paying attention to them and reading them and sending feedback in. You know, maybe we could find some other spots in town, kind of like a community board style place, to maybe get a little bit more physical with the notices on paper or whatever. I haven't completely fleshed all of it out, but definitely open to working with the with council and the administration and some of the local hotspots for folks to see how we can get notices in front of people that isn't a Facebook post or a push notification to your phone.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I'll ask my question, although I think it builds on some things you've already answered. I wanted to ask, what are your like top 3 priorities? And this is the same question that I asked a few years ago when we were doing interviews then. If you could just share top 3 priorities that you would like to focus on or bring to Crafton if you rejoin council.
Yeah, I mean, all of the communications and tech stuff is very familiar and in my wheelhouse. So, you know, any improvements that we can make around that, I'd love to put a little bit more of a magnifying glass and spotlight on and get some community input on how we can improve those things. You know, I love community engagement. When folks show up at these meetings, it's you know, it's such a great indicator of folks caring and the process working as expected. Some more of that. You know, the bond has always been a very close topic for me, just because, you know, you know, I believe that we have a responsibility to the neighborhood to you know, to make sure we're good shepherds of the bond and how it's spent, and making sure we're investing it in very long-term, you know, 30 to 50 year type of projects. So, you know, hoping to, you know, continue advocating for responsible spending in that regard. And yeah, the zoning topic has obviously been very hot for the neighborhood lately. You know, I commend everybody for slowing things down and collecting more input, and hearing all the residents out in each of their individual stories and concerns, and making sure, you know, these things are communicated and easy to access, easy to understand, because it's not an easy process, right? And again, just kind of making sure that that process is moving in a way that, you know, the neighborhood feels heard and considered, and you know, and not nervous about, you know, what inevitably happens at the end of the zoning update process.
Ms.
Well,
Roebuck?
most of my questions were already already addressed, so I really only have kind of one encompassing question. Basically, is there just anything else that you'd like to let us know that wasn't addressed in one of these questions that you feel is important for us to take into consideration when making our choice tonight? If we make our choice tonight, or I guess when we make our choice.
You know, we voted once to double the fireworks budget for July 4th, and I'm still getting input that Ingram has a better fireworks display. So I don't know if we need to fix that this time around, but you know, I'd love to bring that to Chambers, you know, maybe in May or June here, and see if we can one up our wonderful neighbors in a friendly firework competition.
Thank you.
Mayor Perry, any questions? You're good. Okay. All right. With that, Mr. Marks, thank you so much for spending, or did you have something? Oh, you're good. For spending the time. And if you can hold on, we will keep going through our next candidate. Yeah. And how do you say your last name? Coat. Mr. Matcho?
Make sure that mic's up.
I came over from college and about pre-germ. Thank you. Good evening. First off, thank you, council, for considering my application for the vacant council position. It's a pleasure to speak here to you tonight. My name is Matt Choate, and I've been a resident and homeowner in Crafton for just about 20 years. My wife Holly and I moved here in 2005 and have been raising our 3 kids here the last 20 years. I know I only have a few minutes to speak, so I'll try to keep my remarks focused on answering 2 questions. Why am I applying for this position, and why am I qualified? As I wrote in the application, I'm interested in joining Crafton Council because I deeply care about the community, its future, and I want to help foster smart growth, bringing new opportunities and development. And while ensuring we focus on keeping the family environment. By listening to residents, supporting local businesses, and promoting policies that balance progress with preserving our community values, I believe we can continue providing a thriving, welcoming place for families to live, work, and enjoy for years to come. As far as my qualifications for this position, I'm confident I'm a good fit because of my solid work experience and my ongoing passion for volunteering and making a real difference in Crafton. Professionally, I've been a software engineer for about 25 years. I've worked at large companies like Amazon. I worked at small startup companies with only a handful of people. In that time, I've taken on roles from being an individual contributor to leading technology organizations. These experiences have helped me develop skills like being able to work efficiently and effectively across teams, how to handle feedback, both positive and negative, how to listen to others to gather everyone's ideas and opinions. I believe this experience and skills will translate well to the types of situations I would expect to encounter as a council member. Outside of my professional career, I have invested time into a couple of different initiatives that I have been deeply passionate about. First, I have been president of the Carlington Soccer Association for the last 7 years. We provide affordable, free to those who need assistance for in-house and travel soccer programs. One thing I'm extremely proud of, when I first took over that position, we only had maybe 50 to 60 players in the organization. Now we have over 200 that play in our fall and spring programs. I feel athletic programs like ours provide a great opportunity to bring people together across the community. The second initiative I've invested a lot of time into is restoring homes in Crafton. Over the last 7 years, I renovated 5 homes in Crafton. We've turned neglected, sometimes borderline blighted properties into homes, single-family homes that provide an opportunity for people to become homeowners and join this great community. In conclusion, I believe my professional experience leading a local athletic organization and investing time and dollars into improving the homes in Crafton make me a strong candidate for this position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Choate. Right, now it turns to council to ask any questions. Mr. Choate?
Get on the same word.
So I'm looking at my
Yes.
notes too, so I know we all are.
Just do it.
Matt, you mentioned in both your application here today, and I've been aware that, you know, you have renovated and sold homes and improved homes in the neighborhood. I'm just curious, in terms of zoning, which is a topic, obviously, what are your thoughts in terms of zoning and how it affects single-family home development, since that's something that you have a lot of experience with? I'm just curious your perspective on that and types of things that have been going on around zoning as it relates to residential.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, when we first moved into Crafton, our home we bought was a multifamily. We turned it back into single family. I've been pretty consistent in following that model of wanting to bring in permanent residents that are here for the long term. So from as far as how it relates to the current zoning discussions, I think if we can maintain as much areas of Crafton that are dedicated to the single family homes for permanent residents, I think that's something I would love to pursue.
Second question, not related. You mentioned also in your application some, you know, a desire to help foster, you know, economic development opportunities around like businesses, helping businesses grow in Crafton or attracting other ones. Anything you'd like to add about your ideas or perspectives for that and opportunities maybe?
Maybe not specifically, but I've noticed over the last several years, our neighboring community like Carnegie has really grown their small businesses, locally owned businesses. Crafton, we're not at that same pace. I'd love to see that increase. Like this year we opened Big Tree Coffee. I love that place right by my house. So more things we can do like that bring these sort of gathering places, businesses that are directly beneficial to the community. I would love to continue to try to make opportunities for small business owners to open their business in Crafton.
Great, thank you.
It's my turn. So you had mentioned a little bit, I think, when you talked about why. So what specifically is the why that you have an interest in the appointed seat?
Sure. I mean, some of my top things that I believe in when I vote for someone for an office is will it be fiscally responsible? The council here and the borough here has done a great job having a balanced budgets. I would love to keep doing that, be a part of that process. I've done a lot of volunteering for the stock organization with a lot of time and effort to put on those programs. I've done it for a while. I'd like to maybe move on to a different way to contribute differently in Crafton, and council's been on my list of things I maybe considered joining. I don't really have specific agendas on what I would kind of like specific program, but I want to try to give back as much as I can. Crafton's given us, my family, a great environment to live, and I'd love to try as much as I can to keep that going and provide some service to the community.
It sounds like, I mean, you're involved in a lot with houses and soccer and your kids and everything. So tell me about your time commitment that you'd be able to give to council and to committees. I mean, it's a lot.
That's a good question.
It's
Yeah.
a lot.
So if I was appointed, I would step down as president of soccer association and focus more on the council position. I would still stay involved. They need people to paint fields and rough games and all that stuff. So I still can commit that way and help out, keep growing that organization. But council would be my number one priority as far as time commitments outside of my professional job.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Was it me?
Yeah.
Man, I hope you gave a heads up to the soccer folks. If not, that would like breaking news, you know, if it goes that way. So, okay, good. That's nerve wracking. Again, just so everyone knows, I have my questions, so that's why I'm looking at my phone. I built these questions from, again, a combination of your application and what I was jotting down that you said. So I'm just, one of the things that I am curious, and it goes into, I think, the work that you've mentioned, you know, Crafton's your home for 20 years. It's given you so much and your passion for the work that you're doing in houses. So my question is, how would you go about balancing and preserving Crafton's charm with the need that we do have for development, and then a little bit of, it's not a buzzword, that modernization, just kind of like, just keeping us literally moving forward a little bit. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, good question. I'm not an expert on any of the zoning, but I've read through the documentation. I like the ideas of how we have the different areas of Grafton where we can still have the traditional sort of family home, residential neighborhoods, but then also dedicating certain areas for small businesses, for mixed use properties. So I mean, I think that model has worked in the past. I know the new sort of proposals for like density, setbacks changing a little bit may affect sort of how buildings can be built in some of those other areas, but I think sticking with the plan of kind of having the different residential zones dedicated to that, having those incredible craft and homes that everyone seems to love. We to kind of preserve the old and still mix in progression towards adding new businesses or growing craft.
Okay, thank you.
Let's come.
Well, I have my same question I ask everybody. Can you share your top three priorities or three priorities that come to mind to you if you were?
It's fiscal responsibility is number one for me. The ability to grow, add small local businesses, that's important to me as well. Letting small business owners thrive in our community. And related to my work with soccer, I think I'd love to see better athletic facilities here in Grafton. We lack, even Carnegie has better facilities than us. We can't even play soccer in Grafton. We have to go to the high school, we have to go to Carnegie, we have to go to Keystone Oaks. So I would love to be able to find ways that we can create opportunities for not just for soccer fields, but maybe mixed use fields that will allow our community to kind of run events here, have local teams here, to make it more accessible for maybe kids who can't travel over to Carnegie or Keystone Oaks or wherever they have to have practices. So that, I mean, one of my priorities is trying to, how do we grow that part of the craft, which doesn't seem to have a lot of voices for that right now.
I'm gonna stick with my same question. Is there anything else that you would like to let us know about you or your vision that you haven't already mentioned that would help us make our decision?
I think I put a lot in my application. I love Justin's idea of more fireworks. These are all. Bobbleheads there as well. I think with the question you asked, I think I got out what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Perry?
You guys are doing a great job.
Okay. And I neglected to forget Mr. Chandler too, is on the line remote. Mr. Chandler, did you have anything even for Justin or for Mr. Choate?
No, thank you for asking, but no, I'm good. Thanks.
I will ask a follow-up. We can still do
Sure, go
questions.
ahead.
Because you talked about small local businesses. This is something that we have been talking about for a while, and there's a lot of interest in trying to grow that. What are some of your thoughts on how we can do that? How we can attract more of that, like Carnegie style, or the build that kind of attract those local businesses that have that kind of character that people are asking for. And we have struggled to get those businesses to.
Yeah, I think like when I see going down sort of like the business district Grafton down here, like for this building and like where Seraphina's is, this whole sort of area. I think it's hard for local business to come in and get traffic to come there for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's not a lot of parking. So not a lot of place for businesses to actually have customers in that market that's just blocked there. So that limits kind of probably the amount of business they can bring in. So I'm looking to figure out a way to how do we create facilities that are more conducive to allowing a business to drive there and not just rely on maybe the neighborhood a couple of blocks going to their business. It allows us to bring in people from other communities to Grafton.
Any last minute questions from Mr. Choate? No, thank you. All right, so it now goes to council. And I want to thank both candidates, very impressive backgrounds, and for the want and desire to step up and do a council seat. So thank you both. As a reminder, this seat would run through the end of this year. And this is one of the open seats for the election. So the person that would get appointed would run for the rest of this year. What we see right now is council has the ability to vote on one of the two candidates, or the option not to vote and hold it to the next meeting. Before we would vote, we would accept Mr. Redilla's resignation or not, and let it run through April 14th. So to get some thoughts on council, is council ready to vote tonight or move it to our next meeting?
I'll just speak up real quick and say I'm comfortable voting tonight. But I'm also, if the majority would like to wait, that's fine with me as well, but I would be comfortable voting tonight.
Yeah, I would agree with Colton. I could make a decision tonight if needed. But I also understand the need to, kind of like noodle on it, think it through, don't rush a decision. So.
But we encourage, if whatever candidate does not make it, to also get involved, to join committees, to any of our commissions, all of those things too.
I echo.
Yeah, I'm okay to vote tonight. I feel like I can do that.
It's gonna be a tough decision, but yeah, I think I can.
I'm sorry, we can't take the comments from this.
Yeah, I think I could be comfortable.
Okay. So how the process will go for this is that each council person will, this will be a roll call vote. Each council will say the name of the person that they would like to appoint to the seat. It will go from reverse alphabetical order, with the president being last to vote. And then this will require a majority of for the candidate to get the seat. So this would require 4 of the votes to obtain the seat.
Explain what happens if they don't get 4.
Yes, if they don't get 4, or if it's a tie, it goes to the mayor, correct? To make the decision if it's a tie. If it's not, council revotes.
You can't
Right.
vote.
Yeah.
Right, and do I not have yes, I have the option to call the
Okay,
meeting.
yeah, mhm.
The mayor can choose not to break the tie and you all would come back in a meeting, and I think it's within 10 days or so. So that'll be a special meeting.
A special, okay. Okay,
There's something.
okay. With that, the borough manager will go through the names, and like I said.
We gotta do the motion to.
Oh,
accept the
I'm sorry.
resignation.
There's a lot going on. I apologize. Okay, so first is a motion to accept Vince Redilla's resignation from Crafton Borough Council. Ms. Bolenbacher,
Second.
Mr. Ho. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. All right, now, thank you, Mr. Price.
Yep.
Now for the roll call vote. Mr. Price will go through the names, and then again, it's the candidate that you would like to nominate for the appointment. Let's see.
Great. So first is Ms. McCormick.
Matt Choate, please.
Mr. Hof,
Matthew Cho.
Ms. Compatello,
Justin Marks.
Mr. Chandler,
Matthew Choate.
Ms. Bolenbacher,
Matthew Choate.
and Mr. Oliverco.
Mr. Marks.
Okay. So that is 4 for Choate and 2 for Marks. So Choate is the new council member.
All right. Thank you. So now we have a motion for the resolution, and I'll go through that to adopt resolution 2025-06, appointing Mr. Matt Choate to Crafton Borough Council to fill the vacancy resulting from the resignation of Vince Redilla, which expires on December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Mr. Chandler?
Second.
Was Ms. Fallenbacher second? Any questions or discussion?
No discussion or question. Just thank you again, both to
Oh, yeah.
everybody.
yeah.
So, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? motion passes. So we do have the affidavit of residency for Mr. Choate here. And the solicitor needs to verify that. Yes, and it's notarized. Yeah, after this. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. So this. Oh, you don't have the oath with you? Okay. All right. So.
Do you, I mean, we could pull it up if we want to do it. and we can
Let's
sign
do it. If you can pull it, if someone
Okay.
can pull it up.
I don't know. That's my.
What are we doing? Pulling up. Oh, the script, not a script, but
It's it's the oath. I don't have
the
this with me.
speech. Better call the soccer team.
Waiting for the push. Here we go. With. What?
We'll need some time and we can go through the other. thing.
sure.
Okay, yeah, let's go through. Yeah, we'll go through the community announcements here. The next council meeting will be April 10th at 7:00 PM. Our crafting cleanup day, which Ms. Molenbacher talked about, is Saturday, April 12th from 8 to 11. And that also includes our Arbor Day celebration. Or, I'm sorry, not this year, no Arbor Day celebration. This is also the shredding medication take back day with Dan Deasy and Wayne Fontana. In addition to crafting cleanup, which is from 9 to 12 noon, supplies will be provided at the Borough Building. Our Arbor Day celebration has changed because of the timing of the year. It is Saturday, April 26th at 10 o'clock in Crafton Park. We will be commemorating Crafton's 36th year as Tree City USA, and also the Betsy Martin dedication will happen at that time. And it will be sponsored by Crafton Shade Tree Commission and Crafton Heritage. What? Are you ready? Or no? No, you still need some.
I might have it too. So in a second.
I have it here.
You have it?
Yep.
And Mr. Choate comes up. Yeah.
Matt, come on down.
Okay, that is fine. So I, Matthew Choate,
Yep.
do solemnly swear
I, Matthew Choate, do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support, defend, and obey the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Welcome to council.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We can get one.
Yeah, we'll get one from you.
Mr. Choate, you actually can sit right there. Yeah. Okay. So now we're at the public comments. So, I do want to thank, obviously, Mr. Choate and Mr. Marks for stepping forward for this, as Mr. Koenig said, and having the process, which I feel like council did a great job of great questions and the open interview process. So. Public comment at this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor is the assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. Mr. Choate will answer all the questions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
The new
So
one.
for this, we don't have the sign-in sheet, so you can just raise your hand. Yeah, Ms. Bean.
Thank you. I have a question
Oh,
about.
name and
Oh,
address.
Dean, don't get yours, please. I have a question about the road paving program for Belvedere Street. It's been a long time coming. While I would like to see the bird stay for the nostalgia, I'll take anything over what we currently have. But my question is, how far back on Belvedere do you intend to pave? I've heard different discussions that it's only going to go to the last sewer, which would be right after my house or at 59 Belvedere Street. So can you tell me if it's going to be the entire street or just the part of the street?
Go ahead.
Okay, so that's my
Yeah.
first question. The other question is, I see that you're also going to do Broadhead. And you're doing all of the offshoots like Park and Warren, Coulter. Will you also be doing Taylor or has that already been done? And last but not least, following the streets in Crafton for many, many years, where is Newville Way?
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's it. Thank you. All related to roads.
Right. Okay, thank you, Ms. Bean. So the first one is the Belvedere Street road paving. Where does it go to? I think we have a map that actually shows the exact location, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, I could share that with anybody that would like to see that, but it's gonna be from the beginning up to the stairwell. Yeah,
Can you tell me why?
that's where the sewer's been laid out, in the design.
So there are no sewers that run the remainder of the street, or is that just the percentage?
We're installing new sewers, a new storm sewer here on the street, yeah. Quite small number.
The rest of Belvedere.
The brick portion, I mean, it's gonna remain untouched at this time, but until we investigate more into the Brick Streets plan, but.
Thank you.
And then Broadhead, are we doing Taylor? Is that part of it?
Taylor's not included.
Not included? Okay. And then Newville, okay.
Newville Way is a small cul-de-sac along the eastern portion of Crafton. Believe I think it might be Harris. You take Harris into the city of Pittsburgh, it's along off of that, I believe. Yeah, it's a small like alleyway almost, if you will.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bean. Okay, yes, Ms. Smith.
Sorry, back then. Mrs. Smith, 50 Walnut Street. We're doing a cleanup day. Did you guys reach out to scouting groups? Did you reach out to the school district? Did you reach out to Bishop Canavan? There are a lot of kids that need volunteer time to graduate, and the scouts are always looking for a good community service project. I didn't know that this was happening. I bet they don't either, and they would love the service hours, and we could always use the help. Every time you guys do something, or anybody, any organization does something, I always ask them, did you ask the scouts? Did you ask the National Honor Society? Did you ask Bishop Canavan? These people need hours, they need service hours, and we could always use the help. My next question or comment is about trash and leaves. We are no longer allowed to set our leaves out for the garbage men to take them, even if they're in brown bags. The borough doesn't want to take them until the end of April. I have one tree in my yard. I've cleaned up my leaves, and all winter long now I've been cleaning up leaves that come from Clearview on down and build up in my driveway. And I don't know what you want me to do with them. I pay a bill for someone to come and collect my trash. I want my trash collected. I don't want to have to wait every 2 weeks. If it rains, what am I supposed to do with these brown bag leaves? I'm supposed to tarp them in my yard to make my yard look like trash, waiting for them to be able to be picked up. I'm not allowed to burn them. I don't have any place I can go put them. I don't understand this at all. I would like this fixed, because a lot of people are having the same issue that I'm having. The weather's nice, we want to clean up our yards, we want them to look pretty, and I don't know what you want me to do with this stuff.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Smith. So the first one is the cleanup day. Do you want to address that?
It's actually being hosted by Dan Deasy, so I believe he brings his own volunteers.
Yeah, and the cleanup, well, the
Cleanup
cleanup
day.
day is.
Yeah, cleanup.
Is managed mainly by Mary Luxbacher. And we have not reached out to those folks, so we will absolutely do that. We'd love to get more volunteers than we
Great
currently get.
suggestion.
Yeah,
And I do
great
believe-
suggestion.
And I do
Yep.
think the rec board does reach out to those communities because they are aware that those kids need hours and they always need volunteers. So I do
Yep.
believe that the rec board is reaching out to them, but I can double check to make sure that that's the case.
Yep.
Ms. Smith, do you have a list maybe? Because you're making a great suggestion. Do you have a list of like?
Contacts? That'd be great. I'll
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, because it's a community day where community can go, but it's a great idea to have them actually be a part of it. So that's good. And then the trash and leaves.
I don't have a good answer for that. I'll have to look into the trash and leaves issue. If it needs to be that we need to have public works starting earlier, because of the change in garbage service, we'll see what we can do. I was not aware of that, so, and that's the first I've heard, so we will definitely look into it and I'll get you an answer on that too.
So these are like oak leaves that are dropping now, because oak leaf. Linda's laughing.
Clearview Trail.
Oh.
Come down
Oh, they're
across the
coming down.
boulevard, And they come down the hillside, and then they end up in my driveway, and I have to dig in my car.
Okay, so we don't have, because they come through during the fall months.
Right,
scoop
and we
it, but
don't,
there's
you know,
nothing.
when there's wild areas, we do not clear wild areas of, on either side of the trail of leaves. So they're gonna naturally blow in given periods. So yeah, we'll look into what it would take to provide a service that will capture that.
And there are trees like oak trees that drop now.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. Okay. All right, very good. Anybody else? Mr. Mangan.
Hi, it's James Mangan. I did speak to Jim about this, so I'm just kind of like saying this to kind of make things more public. My rental neighbors to my right, they're moving, and I talked to them last week and I said, hey, why are you moving? And their first response was, this street is too dangerous. They have two young girls. That like stop sign by me gets run nonstop. And so they're leaving. So my kind of concern and worry to you guys is that we're losing young families. So by doing nothing, we're starting to kind of lose, especially the renters who can just leave. We're losing families like that. Jim did speak to some people. He, like spoke to me. So thank you, but just, consider that stuff. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I did reach out to Teresa Cal Smith and have not heard back yet. So I'm also going that route because the stop sign in question is technically not in Crafton, so we're not allowed to do improvements to it. As a matter of fact, we asked Public Works if they would do it, and they said that if they did it, they would get a grievance from the city. So we are not able to actually address that. And when we did address the speed, we found that there wasn't an issue with speed. It is clearly an issue of the stop sign being run. So we're looking we asked Teresa Cal Smith to add a stop bar. Rolling back, we have asked several times through 311. We tried to go through the normal process where you asked us by sending them both through tweeting and through just sending them an email, and we did not get a response on either of those two requests. But we did have a response on, we did ask them to also clear the vegetation last year. And I also there's a new property owner, that house in the corner was just sold, and I had met with them. And they agreed to clear back, and they've done a great job of keeping it clear since they've been in. Now granted, it's mostly been in the winter months, but so hasn't been as much of an issue. But I'll let everybody know when I hear back from Teresa Cal Smith about the stop bar.
What is that? Is that a company? Is that who's?
No, she is an elected official in the city.
Gotcha, thank you.
She is this area.
It sounds like a law firm or something that you were gonna.
She is
Yeah.
Councilwoman Teresa Cal Smith.
There it is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I probably should have used her proper.
No, it's okay.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Mr. Sheik.
Cody Sheets from Main Street. First question is about Ewing Road. Curious who is being, sought out to fix Ewing Road? What are the plans? Do we plan to fix this internally or externally? What will the costs be associated to that? Next is sort of comment, Mr. Price, despite your vehemence about it, you made a call to the city, sources inside the city, same sources that attended the birthday party of Mayor Gainey with Mr. Tedesco, think differently. And so I think that council, not knowing about it, speaks to the enormous lack of oversight over your job. And Mr. President, my question to you about this is, have you ever received a call or a comment or been approached by any resident or any individual about this question regarding public services, or anyone calling the city of Pittsburgh about public services? And if so, what was your answer?
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sheets. So the first item is Ewing Road.
Ewing Road, as I suggested or mentioned earlier, we just got the initial options. I believe we got 5 different proposed routes to go. 2 of them include putting in a new road down by the existing Crafton Work or Public Works building, connecting that area to the CIT fields. There was some proposed options about fixing Ewing Road in its entirety, making it two-way, one-way, and as well as just making it a walking trail. But these options still need to be discussed. Pricing, they range from, I believe, $215,000 all the way up to $900,000 options.
And who's the source of those? Like, who we be fixing?
That's still be to determined, but we're gonna try and do them in-house if possible.
All right, for me, I received 1 phone call on Tuesday from a resident asking if we were, just like we mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, if we are partnering with the city on our fire department, police department, and public works. I emphatically told that person absolutely not, that we have no direction to move in that, just like I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. That's it. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Mr. Wozniak.
I have 2 questions. Ewing Road, the washout, was that, what the cause or the determined on that? So that's, where washout on Ewing Road was what caused that, washout? And, my second question is that, the DCNR grant, the matching grant, Jim, you had mentioned that we could use, public works people to help offset the grant. How does that offset happen? Do we monetize the grant, like the grants matching? So are workers wages or their work monetized into the grant? Yeah, and yeah, that's about like that. And if it is monetized, how is that population?
Yeah, great questions. Thank you. Do you want to address Ewing Road? What happened there?
Yes, I'm actually too familiar with the actual washout area. I'm familiar with the subsidence portions of Ewing Road. Does this washout just happen or?
I think that's
what he's asking.
Oh, the subsidence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still being investigated, but I believe it to be subgrade issues in the road when it was restored a couple years ago. That's my guess.
That is exactly it. When we went through and looked, the recommendations for what needed to be done that were made by Gateway, and at that time, we had a different.
When was this?
I don't remember exactly the year. I'll have to look it up.
2017 and 2000.
Thank you, because it was right when, early on in council. And so the director of public works at the time assigned the work internally and basically ignored some of the recommendations of Gateway. So that repair was not done to the standards recommended by our engineers at the time.
what I remember, because Ewing was closed for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Way back.
Right.
And then this was done to repair it or patch it, and now it's no longer feasible.
Yeah, I can give a little more back.
Yeah.
So there, it was closed, I think, in either 2008 or 2010. I can't remember exactly. And there were several times that the borough had reached out to, at the time, Gateway, to get reports. There was a Gateway study done in 2017 that came back with an approximate fixed cost of $450, I think. There was one done in 2018 that for some reason, I think it went up, but slightly, the 500,000. And then Mr. Kazarowski hired a separate firm in 2019 or 20, I can't remember which, to handle the paving contract. And when they did that, they just added this onto a paving contract. So they did very little under repair of the problem and just paved it at a cost of around 90,000. And that's why we've had subsidence. There was not a full repair was not done as suggested multiple times by the other reports that they got. And that's why we didn't want to follow the same mistake. So we're trying to make sure that it's done correctly this time. So, yeah.
Thank you. And Mr. Wozniak's other question was the matching grant for DCNR.
So the way we calculated it at this point was hourly wages. You get number of hourly wages. We made an estimate for how long it would take for the work that Public Works said they could do. We're also able to recoup healthcare costs in that and equipment costs. So that is all baked into that, although the estimate didn't include the equipment costs at the time, but we were told that any equipment they use, we can use a calculation to figure out how much that is benefit. I think we have a limit of how much you can use in-kind work. And I think in the original estimates, we were using 30 or 35,000 as the estimate at this time, but that might change as the project moves on.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, for the folks online, oops, do we have some, for the folks online, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, unless anybody has anything else, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.